It is a priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. That statement came from no one's favorite ex-Secret Service agent and police officer, Dan Bongino, the former podcaster and now current podcaster, who was number 2 at the FBI after being selected by Trump in February of 2025. That statement came after apparently there were clashes with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel about the handling of the Epstein files. This was shortly after a joint unsigned memo between the FBI and the Department of Justice that said Epstein died by suicide in 2019 in prison while awaiting trial and that he did not keep a client list. They also said there would be no prosecution of anyone else and the matter was closed. This is the first time they said this, back in July. Now, if you remember, Bongino came to fame in the 2016 era with the first Trump wave, if you will, and made his name with the MAGA faithful as being someone who was going to get to the truth and get to the bottom of things, and on countless occasions said that Epstein had been part of blackmailing powerful figures, and that he was at the center of an entire trafficking ring, which Bongino thought would reveal a number of Democratic stars or power players, if you will. And apparently, when he got to look at the actual evidence, his opinions on that changed. So much so that apparently there were several clashes between him and Bondi and Patel, with reports suggesting he felt that the rollout was botched and that he would resign. After that, he kind of goes dark and then disappears to a point into December where he announces his resignation as FBI Deputy Director, effective January 2026, following all of the internal turmoil from his comments that he is shaken to the core and he is, dedicated to getting the truth out. Well, he changes his mind again and says, I think I'm going to go back to podcasting. Gets back into podcasting. This is in this month, February of 2026, and says that, he and Patel found a weaponized portion of the Bureau, which was out to get people like Trump. And there really wasn't anything to do with the Epstein stuff. He even had Trump onto his show as a show of cooperation and bonding. And so if you followed his career and you follow what he said about Epstein and that it was obviously, a suicide and it was a cover up and a blackmail and shaken to the core, you have to wonder, what changed in that period of time and what he was offered potentially to change his tune. So if this crosses your airspace and you're a Bongino fan, loyal from the beginning, I hope that you've had those same questions and you start to wonder why. Why has it changed so much, especially in the face of all this evidence where more and more documents are coming out. Obviously, victims are not being taken care of, but rich, powerful people, they sure are getting their names redacted. Pam Bondi has had to go back on what she said multiple times and has been found to be a liar on several occasions, where at first she said she had the files, she had the client list, she had all this video, and then suddenly there was nothing. So Bongino is just kind of like the tip of the iceberg for these far-right influencers who a ton of them were saying that there was all of this, international trafficking ring to do with Epstein, but it was all going to be Democrats. And now they have gone super dark and super quiet. And some of them have flipped it over and said, we don't need to talk about that. We need to move on, basically parroting whatever Trump says now because he really wants it to move on. And so they are doing the same thing. This whole search for justice seems to have kind of disappeared in the far right. So again, if you follow these people, I hope you're asking those questions, but it sure seems fishy. And it does. The guy goes from, I'm going to get to the answer, then he's enraged over how they're handling it and what they're not telling people, to becoming suddenly very passive and docile and towing the line. And it seems to be kind of a norm for far-right influencers when it comes to talking about the Epstein stuff. Thanks.